Welcome to Hearts and Stripes, your one-stop shop for all things military marriage. I hope our discussions and interviews equip you with the tools to start or grow a beautiful marriage as we address the benefits and challenges of mil marriage. I believe life's most precious moments are worth celebrating, so I'll help you design your marriage blueprint in alignment with your core values. Thank you for joining us, and remember to rate, subscribe, and review. Let's do this. Hello everyone, it's Bree Carroll, organizer of the Command Collective community, and I have some exciting news. Lean in here. The Command Collective community doors are about to open, and we want to welcome you into this membership full of ambitious military spouse and service women. Not sure if this is the community for you? Don't worry. Throughout the month of March, we're actually giving you a sneak peek of everything in our membership. So if you are on the waiting list, you will get the details so that you can join us on our commander's call, our master mentor session, and even our care call for the month of March. What are you waiting for? Make sure you head to breecarroll.com/community and get on the waiting list now. That's breecarroll.com/community so that you can be a part of the collective, because of course we want to see you thrive personally in your marriage and in building a legacy. So join the Command Collective today. Hello, and welcome to Hearts and Stripes podcast, your one-stop shop for all things military marriage. I'm your host, Bree Carroll, and I am so grateful that you are here sharing this heart-to-heart with me as we dive into this discussion all about therapy. So I'm excited to have this conversation. I think we alluded to it a little bit last episode as I talked about ways to build yourself. And I wanted to be a little bit more transparent about my decision to go ahead and check out therapy options for myself and for my mil marriage, because you know, here at Hearts and Stripes podcast, we are all about you being mil marriage strong. So for today's discussion, we're going to touch on what is therapy, where can you get it, and the different types of therapy options that are available for you. So I thought it would be really good to dive right in, and I'm actually here looking at goodtherapy.org because I think this definition of therapy was one of the reasons why I chose to lean into therapy, and I'll link this in the show notes so that you can check it out for yourself. But it says, what is therapy? Therapy, also called psychotherapy or counseling, is the process of meeting with a therapist to resolve problematic behaviors, beliefs, feelings, relationships, issues, and or somatic responses, sensations in the body is what they are saying here. Beginning therapy can be a big step towards being healthiest version of yourself, living the best life possible, no matter what challenges you may be facing. Listen, that is definitely why I was like, I have to lean into this concept of therapy. But to be really honest with you, for a very long time, I have been someone who's like, yes, get therapy, do the things, it's awesome, but I never really tried it for myself. And I kind of felt a little bit like a hypocrite here, if I'm being honest, just because I know it is a resource, and you know, here at Hearts and Stripes, we love a great resource, but it's not something that I've ever leaned into myself. So the reason why I decided to try therapy is because I have this picture of in my mind about who I want to be in this next chapter or this next level that I want to grow and develop into. And I realized that there are some old things that I cannot take into this next level or this next chapter. There are some traumas and feelings that I have to address before I can move on to this next thing. There are some behaviors even that I need to get help navigating why I do what I do, or where that comes from, because it's showing up in my relationship and how I show up in my work as a wife, as a mom, as just me, right? So I thought about it and I just was like, you know what? I always say that therapy is a great option, and maybe it's time for me to lean in and try that option for myself. So I reached out to some of my good girlfriends, my biz besties, and I asked them about therapy. They all do therapy. I actually love how one of my friends, shout out to Sandra Ocasio, in a talk that she gives, she says something to the effect of, if my friends don't do therapy, we can't be friends. So I loved how supportive the network and the community that I've built around me has been about me seeking therapy. And I thought it would be a great conversation to have right here on Hearts and Shirts podcast, because I know there are some stigmas or beliefs around what that means to go get therapy. So let me just put some things to the side. Therapy is not for crazy people, because you may be feeling like, I don't have any big traumatic or disorders, if you will, so I don't need therapy. It's not just for those who may be struggling with disorders, with their mental or physical or emotions. It's not just for that. I find that even as I stepped into and was like, okay, I'm going to commit to going to therapy, I love the way Good Therapy puts it, right? It's just talking about living your best life possible and getting support in doing that. So I want to dispel that myth that something is wrong with you if you seek out therapy. Absolutely not. I think seeking out therapy and the support that you need is a means of you advocating for yourself, for your relationship, and wanting to really go to that next level. And I would encourage anyone who is thinking about it to maybe try it on for size. So I definitely wanted to talk about where can you find therapy and the different types of therapy. So one really great resource that I'm excited to share is Military OneSource. Military OneSource actually provides a non-medical counseling option for our service community, which is fantastic. This is free of charge to you, and you can get connected to get the support that you need. And if I can just talk about the type here, you see that it said non-medical. So there are clinicians that do operate on that medical side of things, and they can prescribe you medications to support your process in getting therapy and counseling. So a good girlfriend of mine, a fellow mill spouse, she has ADHD, right? And as she sees her therapist, they are able to prescribe her medication to support her in having that better quality of life, right? So there is a clinician who can prescribe things, and I know families who work through PTS. There are prescriptions and medications that can be set up to support you to have a greater quality of life. And then there's a non-medical side of therapy where it could be more talk therapy. You're not prescribing anything, but it's someone who helps you work through your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors so that you can see the results that you want to see in your growth and development. It's a journey, right? So those are two different types to kind of look at and figure out what may be best suited for you. I also wanted to just share that you can also look on base or on your installation for therapy options. You can actually go to your clinic and find it. And then the MFLC as well offers some sessions that they can do with you, talk therapy again, to help you work through some of your thoughts and your feelings that way. Another type of therapy that I also want to foot stomp here at Hearts and Stripes podcast is, of course, marriage and couples therapy. seeing a clinician or a provider with your spouse can be very beneficial. And that's something that I know my husband and I have talked about looking at for our own relationship. I currently am enrolled in seeing a therapist for the things that I want to address in my life and work through. And we are looking at options to where we can come in and do sessions together and talk through different things that we're seeing in our relationship, which I feel like totally aligns with the 3 pillars here at Hearts and Stripes podcast. And that's setting ourselves up so that we can thrive personally, thrive in our marriage, and thrive in building a legacy. Therapy may be an option that helps support you in doing all 3 of those things. So I also just wanted to share really quickly as it relates to therapy and lean in here. The biggest reason why I encourage each of you to maybe consider therapy as an option is because of what we talked in the original, we were defining what that is. So this is the time when you're challenged. I need you to take a couple of seconds and think through, do you have any problematic behaviors? Is there anything behavior-wise that you're like, this is really frustrating that I do this. I'm not sure why I do this or where this comes from. Is there anything behavior-wise that you want to work through? I know as a mom, it is, I will say, somewhat normal for me to get a little frustrated, with the kids after a long day, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how I respond in that frustration, or why I respond the way I respond, that's something that I can talk to with a therapist to kind of say, like, why am I showing up in this way? Because I really want to respond in a better way when it comes to my children or as a wife and a mom. Maybe we'll go back to that definition. Maybe it's a belief. What beliefs maybe do you have, or stories that you were told, or maybe something that could have been traumatic that happened that has you believing something about yourself that's hindering you from going to that next level? What maybe it is something belief-wise that you need support in navigating and kind of reframing your thoughts and working through with a clinician that could maybe help you to get to that person that you know is on the other side. Maybe it's feelings. What feelings are you having that you may need some support with processing, right? I have a friend I actually was just talking to who is in a process of grief, right? She just lost someone who was very close to her, and she's trying to manage all of these feelings while going through her day to day. A therapist can absolutely help you and support you in managing your feelings, in processing what these feelings mean, and still help you to operate as your best self while you're going through maybe a season of grief. And let me just say, grief does not always mean like you losing someone. Grief could also come up maybe through our transitions, maybe because you PCS'd, or you're no longer close to family, or you're entering a new season. You may be grieving that old thing, and therapy may be a means to help you navigate that in a way that is healthy and makes you feel good about going through that process. Here at Hearts and Stripes, we don't want you to go through this life alone. It is more fun when you are in community and have support and tools and resources to help you thrive in all of those key areas of your life. So allow therapy to be one of the tools in your toolbox that sets you up for success to go to that next level. So as we wrap up this discussion on therapy, we're going to go to my favorite part of these Hearts and Stripes episodes, which is our heart tracks. So on Spotify, you can listen to the full playlist that reminds you of the discussions and the topics that we have right here on Hearts and Stripes podcast. So if you head to Spotify, you can go to Heart Tracks 2. Oh, that's last season, I should say. Heart Tracks 3. Go to Heart Tracks 3 on Spotify, and you can see the full playlist of the songs that we have been listening to remind you of the topics and the discussions that we've had here on Hearts and Stripes podcast. So today's heart track is by Ariana Grande and it's called Breathin. So I picked this heart track for this topic of therapy because, first of all, Ariana is very vocal about her seeking therapy and normalizing therapy. And I liked the lyrics in there that says, just keep breathing. That lyric for me is kind of what therapy helps you do. It helps you keep breathing. It helps you process. It helps you walk through. And it really helps you get through and develop what you have going on internally. You know, I'm a big proponent of doing some introspection, right? I've got my journal and things here that I utilize to kind of process my thoughts and feelings. And therapy is an amazing way to help you just keep breathing, keep moving forward, and keep getting a better understanding of you and the things that you have gone through in life. So that is our heart track for this episode of Hearts and Stripes podcast. Breathin by Ariana Grande. And let me just say thank you for joining us for another Heart to Heart right here on Hearts and Stripes podcast. Until next time, have an amazing week and continue to thrive and be Mill Marriage Strong.
Thank you for tuning in. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review. This is Hearts and Stripes. We are the few, the proud, that aim high and are forged by love. Always ready, always there. We are Mill Marriage Strong.